And the other, and by no means free game that I've been playing for the last week or so is L.A. Noire.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. I know. Yeah, it's a little underground game, kind of made by a small team. That's not true. It's the new Rockstar game. Yeah, it's basically you're a cop in 1940s Hollywood, working your way through the different detective desks. You go from traffic to homicide to what's after homicide? Vice. And then
I was gonna say super homicide,
super mega, multi homicide. No, and then from Vice you go to arson. I've played about to the introduction of Vice at this point.
Wait, is that just the progression of, is that how police departments actually work? It's like after
I'm not sure if that's how police departments work, but that's how this game works.
Okay.
That's how it worked in 1940s LA.
Right. You very briefly at the beginning of the game, you're a beat cop in the uniform and stuff like that, but you sort of build your reputation for being
a good beater.
Yeah, running over transients. No, for assembling pieces of puzzles and shaking down suspects and things like that. There's quite a few different components to it. There's sort of a driving element, which is very sort of familiar to anybody who's played a Rockstar game in the past. In the case of this game, you have this giant chunk of 1940s Los Angeles, including Hollywood and Wilshire, that you can explore and drive around. But it's weird that they've sort of made it so you don't have to drive around it. You basically you can get in the car by pushing triangle, and you sit in the driver's seat, and you can drive anywhere you want to go. But if you stand next to the car and hold down the triangle button, your partner will drive you to the destination, and it just skips the whole driving segment. So it's sort of the anti-Grand Theft Auto in the sense that it's sort of like your objective is a 20-minute drive far away, and there's no other way to get there. So you have to drive, and if you screw up, you have to reset and go all the way back and drive it again. And there's none of that in L.A. Noire. They really sort of make it very sort of lean and fast in that way.
Wait,
I think that
you didn't take taxis in GTA 4?
Oh, right. I forgot about the
because that's all I did.
Oh, I forgot about that as an option. But yeah, I guess that's true.
It's interesting that they added that because the main focus of the game is you're just interviewing suspects, right? And it's
really, I mean, beyond
people
that,
are saying it's more of like an adventure game.
Totally,
So,
I think that's an excellent comparison. Yeah, I mean, really, you start with a crime scene and you have to sort of wander around the crime scene and pick up. I found a bloody pipe. I found a copy of a magazine. Blah blah blah.
Awesome.
And how do all of these pieces sort of fit together into your interrogations, into your questions?
Sounds like Police Quest 2011. And I'm not saying that in a negative way because I love Police Quest.
Yeah, the beat cops will say this is a witness, and so you can look around for evidence, and you can ask them questions about the evidence, and you have the choice to decide if they're telling you the truth, if there's any reason for doubt, or if you have evidence to prove that they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sort of oddly paced for a video game. It's very quiet. I mean, there are sort of moments of shootouts and stuff like that, and there's a lot of chases. Basically, anybody that you need to. Like, we need to go here and find this dude, and he's working at the docks. He's going to run. I can like at any point they say go to this place and talk to this guy. That guy's going to run away from you. So there's a lot of really excellent sort of like running through alleys in LA and stuff like that, and up a drain pipe across rooftops, and it turns into a shootout, and you have to drag the guy in for questioning and stuff. And the little foot chases are great. It's cool. I've been having a really really good time with it. I want it so badly to be a Grand Theft Auto game, and it's not. So I keep playing it like one, where I'm sort of driving over sidewalks and running over pedestrians. And, and all of that at the end of your mission report, you get docked for destruction and for killing innocents and things like that. And but it's a good time. I've enjoyed it. The plot, the characters are very very engrossing. I think in terms of sort of setting up a structure of a series of murders, of interviewing family members and people who are devastated by sort of their mother being killed by the Black Dahlia murderer and stuff like that. Like, it's surprisingly emotional and intense and deep. There's a lot of like dark grown-up themes at play, so it's very much sort of a grown-up game. It's pretty brilliant. I kind of really, really enjoying it.
I'm looking forward to playing it eventually.
That's a good
It's
time.
just kind of in the back burner right now, but I'm definitely as soon as people were saying it's more like an adventure game, that really actually piqued my interest a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, that started popping up in a few of the earlier reviews that I was reading, and it was cause for alarm for me because there aren't a lot of adventure games that I've played through to completion. I think I like the idea of like a point and click kind of adventure game more than I like the reality of them.
The story really needs to be strong for those adventure games to work, I think. And it sounds like, based on what you're saying, the story in this is very good. So if they nail that, it's probably got a strong shot at being something that's enjoyable for me. And it sounds like you're liking it a lot too, so that's great. Yeah.
Well, and there's enough of the sort of little punctuation moments of action where you're sort of dodging cover to cover in a shootout and stuff like that, and to sort of make the rest of that I was going to say tolerable, but that's not the word I mean. That makes it sound negative. But
just comes together.
It's definitely right. It's definitely a very strange pace for a game, and it takes a little bit of getting used to from my perspective. But I've enjoyed it thus far. It's a good time.
Awesome.
I'm pretty proud of Rockstar for not turning it into like or for keeping the focus more on the investigation.
Yeah, good on them.
A huge proportion of shooting sequences and driving, like letting you skip the driving, is an interesting choice. I really want to play this game. The more I hear about it, and the more I hear about how the whole interview process and how you present evidence and all that sounds awesome. But I'm just playing so many other games right now.
The sort of animation of the people, the facial animations of the people you're interviewing. You sort of look down at your notebook and you can push a button to look up at witness. It all sort of happens in real time. So as you're scanning your notes, you can hold down a button and your eyes sort of gaze up at the person that you're interviewing as their eyes are sort of darting around the room and they're kind of twitchy, or they're sort of staring at you very intently. And if you stare for too long, they go, "What's your problem, buddy? Why are you just staring at me?" So it keeps you going. It definitely sort of keeps you keeping up your part of the conversation.
Does that happen like as you're interviewing them? Like you have to look down at your notes. It's one or the other.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I think the default is look down at your notes, but if you want to gaze up at them to look for facial cues, you can. You have the button pressed to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sounds like it's a bit of a cerebral game when it comes to that, so that sounds pretty intriguing.
It is. I keep comparing it to, sort of in my mind, elements of Heavy Rain, where sort of you had this, series of awful murders, or kidnappings, I guess, in that case, and just sort of trying to put the pieces together of this, and sort of being caught in the middle of a lot of crazy things going down, because the game does sort of get into sort of police politics and the power of people in Hollywood and things like that, and you are sort of a beat cop promoted too soon, trying to prove your name, and all of these sort of elements of personality and politics come into play, and it's good. It definitely sort of feels like a real world in a game, which I definitely admire. I think it's very cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I want to play this game.